The Lemp Mansion, Missouri's Dynasty of Death. Good evening. I'm Detective James Miller with the State Bureau of Investigation, Special Historical Cases Division. For over 30 years, I've documented America's most disturbing unexplained phenomena. Tonight, I'm opening one of Missouri's most haunting files. The file I'm about to share with you has troubled investigators for generations. It's a tale of wealth, power, suicide, and what many believe to be one of America's most haunted locations, the Lemp Mansion in St. Louis, Missouri. Let me be clear. I wasn't personally involved in the original investigations. These events began in the 1860s and continued well into the 20th century. What I've done is compile, review, and analyze the evidence collected over more than 150 years of documentation. The story that emerges is troubling, to say the least. Case file, Missouri, 1868, L137, date of initial report, August 12, 1868, status, unexplained. If you have a story, drop a comment below and subscribe to the channel. The Lemp Mansion case represents something rare in our files, a haunting that spans generations, with multiple documented deaths, countless witness testimonies, and a pattern of tragedy that defies rational explanation. Our file begins in 1868 when Johann Adam Lemp, a German immigrant who built one of America's first brewing empires, purchased a house at 3322 South 13th Street in St. Louis. What started as a modest residence would eventually become a 33-room Victorian mansion, and the epicenter of what many consider to be a family curse. The brewing dynasty. Adam Lemp arrived in St. Louis in 1838, establishing a small grocery store and brewery. By the 1860s, the Lemp Brewery had grown into an industrial giant, utilizing natural limestone caves beneath the property for lagering beer. A revolutionary method at the time. The Lemp fortune grew exponentially, making them one of the wealthiest families in the Midwest. The mansion itself was expanded and renovated throughout the 1860s and 1870s, becoming both a family residence and the headquarters for the brewing empire. Underground tunnels connected the home to the brewery complex several blocks away. These tunnels would later feature prominently in witness accounts of paranormal activity. But success brought with it a darker legacy. The first documented tragedy occurred in 1901, when Frederick Lemp, Adam's son and heir to the brewing empire, died under mysterious circumstances at age 28. While officially recorded as a heart failure, rumors persisted that his death was actually a suicide, carefully covered up to protect the family name. The first confirmed suicide came in 1904, when William Lemp Sr., the family patriarch following Adam's death, shot himself in the head in his office within the mansion. According to police reports from February 13, 1904, William had become increasingly despondent following the death of his son Frederick and the increasing competition from Anheuser-Busch, which was eroding the Lemp market dominance. This would be just the beginning of the Lemp family's tragic pattern. The pattern of tragedy. 8 years after William Sr.'s suicide, his daughter Elsa Lemp Wright, considered the wealthiest woman in St. Louis at the time, shot herself in her bedroom just weeks after remarrying her divorced husband. The date was March 20th, 1920. 2 years later, on December 29th, 1922, William Lemp Jr. followed in his father's footsteps, shooting himself in the same building. According to the police report, he was found in his office with a .38 caliber revolver in his right hand. A note found nearby reportedly read, "In case I am found dead, blame it on no one but me." Charles Lemp, another son, maintained residence in the mansion after the brewery was sold following Prohibition. On May 10, 1949, Charles shot his dog in the basement of the home, then climbed the stairs to his bedroom where he shot himself. The suicide note he left contained a bizarre request. St. Louis, Mo, May 9, 1949. In case I am found dead, blame it on no one but me. H.A. Lemp. The final Lemp suicide occurred when William Lemp III took his own life in 1943, though he didn't die in the mansion itself. 4 suicides across 2 generations of a single family, most occurring within the same building. The statistical improbability alone would warrant investigation. The investigations begin. The first official investigation into potential paranormal activity at the Lemp Mansion was conducted in 1950 after the building was converted into a boarding house. Residents reported hearing footsteps in empty hallways, knockings on walls without source, doors opening and closing by themselves, and shadows moving in peripheral vision. Lieutenant Harold Winters of the St. Louis Police Department interviewed 12 residents between June and September 1950. His report, which I have here, states, multiple unrelated witnesses described identical phenomena occurring in specific locations within the structure. Most notably, the former office of William Lemp Sr. appears to be a focal point for unexplained activity. 3 separate witnesses with no knowledge of the building's history reported seeing a middle-aged man in period clothing who vanished when approached. The description matches photographs of William Lemp Sr. The police investigation was eventually suspended due to lack of criminal activity, with Winters noting, while the reported phenomena cannot be explained through conventional means, no evidence of criminal trespass or intent has been discovered. The case might have ended there, filed away as an unsolved curiosity, if not for what happened when the property was converted into a restaurant and inn in the 1970s. The Lemp Mansion Restaurant and Inn. In 1975, the Pointer family purchased the derelict mansion and began renovations to transform it into a restaurant and inn. Almost immediately, workers reported strange occurrences. Construction tools would disappear and reappear in different locations. Several workers refused to return after experiencing what they described as being watched by unseen presences. Dick Pointer, the new owner, provided a statement to local newspapers in October 1975. We've had 3 different work crews quit on us. One electrician came running out of the basement, white as a sheet, saying someone had whispered in his ear when he was alone in the room. We found items moved overnight when the building was securely locked. I wasn't a believer in ghosts before, but I'm running out of explanations. The documented phenomena. The Lemp Mansion Restaurant and Inn has maintained a log of unexplained occurrences since 1975. As part of our investigation, I've cataloged and verified these reports against witness statements, staff interviews, and guest testimonials. The consistency of these reports across decades is remarkable. The most frequently reported phenomena include Room 211, formerly Elsa Lemp's bedroom, has generated the highest number of documented disturbances. Female guests report feeling watched while changing clothes, hearing a woman's soft crying during the night, and experiencing sudden, inexplicable mood shifts toward depression. In 1987, psychic medium Eleanor Garrett conducted an unauthorized investigation of the room and claimed to make contact with Elsa's spirit. Her recordings, which I've reviewed, contain what appears to be a faint female voice saying, "wrong choice," when asked about her marriage. The former office of William Lemp Sr. continues to be a hotspot for activity. Restaurant staff refuse to enter the room alone after closing. In 1992, a motion-activated camera placed in the office captured a chair moving 3 inches across the floor, with no visible cause. Our technical analysts could find no evidence of tampering or manipulation of the footage. The basement areas, particularly those connected to the underground tunnel system, have yielded the most physical evidence of unexplained activity. Temperature fluctuations of 15-20 degrees have been recorded in isolated areas. Multiple EVP, electronic voice phenomenon sessions conducted between 1998 and 2005 captured the same male voice, though it's impossible to confirm if this belongs to any of the Lemp men. Perhaps most disturbing are the reports surrounding the monkey face boy, believed by some to be the spirit of William Lemp Sr.'s illegitimate son, who allegedly had Down syndrome and was kept hidden in the mansion. While historical records neither confirm nor deny this child's existence, numerous witnesses claim to have seen a small, childlike figure peering from the attic windows or moving through the third-floor hallways. The scientific investigation. In 2008, our department partnered with the Paranormal Research Society of Missouri, PRSM, and the University of Missouri's Department of Psychological Sciences to conduct the most comprehensive investigation of the Lemp Mansion to date. Dr. Rebecca Thornton, head of the university's Consciousness Studies program, oversaw a team of 12 researchers who spent 6 weeks documenting conditions within the mansion. Their approach was methodical and skeptical, employing controlled variables and double-blind testing protocols. The findings, published in the Journal of Anomalistic Psychology, Vol. 17, Issue 3, presented what Dr. Thornton called data anomalies that cannot be explained through conventional scientific understanding. These included 1. Statistically significant EMF, electromagnetic field, spikes in specific rooms, particularly those associated with the suicides, occurring between 2 and 3:15 a.m. 2. Infrasound measurements revealing standing waves in the 18.9 Hz range, a frequency known to cause feelings of anxiety and a sense of being watched in humans, that could not be attributed to plumbing, electrical systems, or external environmental factors. 3. Thermographic imaging showing unexplained cold spots that moved against air currents and appeared to respond to verbal stimuli. 4. Perhaps most compelling were the results of the lock-in experiment, where researchers sealed a room with tamper-evident tape and placed a series of small objects in precise locations. In 17 out of 21 trials, objects were found displaced despite no evidence of human intervention. Dr. Thornton's report concluded, "While we cannot and do not claim paranormal causation, the data collected at the Lemp Mansion presents a series of anomalies that challenge our current understanding of physics and environmental psychology. Further research is warranted." The psychological pattern. One aspect of the Lemp case that has troubled investigators is the psychological pattern of the suicides. Dr. Martin Graves, forensic psychologist with our department, analyzed the available records and personal correspondence of the Lemp family members. His assessment, which I've included in the case file, points to several troubling consistencies. The suicides of the Lemp family demonstrate unusual similarities that extend beyond familial predisposition toward depression. All 4 who died by suicide within the mansion reported experiencing auditory hallucinations in the weeks preceding their deaths. William Sr., William Jr., and Charles all specifically mentioned hearing whispers from empty rooms. Elsa Lemp Wright described feeling watched and guided toward darkness in letters to her sister. Most concerning is the recurrence of specific language across generations. Charles Lemp's suicide note, written 45 years after his father's death, contains phrasing remarkably similar to William Sr.'s final written words. This suggests either a highly unusual psychological imprinting or, and I hesitate to include this in a formal assessment, some external influence affecting multiple family members across time. Dr. Graves stopped short of suggesting supernatural intervention, but noted that the statistical probability of such similar psychological deterioration patterns across multiple generations is exceedingly low. The historical context. To fully understand the Lemp Mansion case, we must consider the historical context of the property and the land it occupies. Archaeological surveys conducted in 1972 revealed that the land where the mansion stands was once used as a burial ground by indigenous peoples, most likely the Osage tribe. Several artifacts recovered from the site date back to approximately 1200 CE. The cave system beneath the property, which the Lemp family used for beer lagering, contains unexplained petroglyphs depicting what appear to be spirit figures. Dr. Elaine Whitman, anthropologist with Washington University, has suggested these may represent threshold guardians, entities believed to stand between the living and spirit worlds in Osage cosmology. During the Civil War, a portion of the property was briefly used as a field hospital following the Battle of St. Louis. Historical records indicate that at least 40 soldiers died on the grounds. While this alone is insufficient to explain the phenomena reported at the mansion, it adds another layer to the property's complex history. With death, the witness testimonies. Among the most compelling evidence in our files are the witness testimonies collected over decades. I've interviewed 37 individuals who have experienced unexplained phenomena at the Lemp Mansion. Their accounts, recorded under oath, demonstrate remarkable consistency despite the witnesses having no contact with each other. Sarah Beaumont, a former housekeeper who worked at the mansion from 1976 to 1983, provided this account. I was closing up the third floor one evening in the winter of '79 when I heard what sounded like a child running down the hallway behind me. I turned, expecting to see one of the owner's kids, but the hallway was empty. Then I heard it again, the sound of small feet, and I saw a door at the end of the hall open about 3 inches. I called out, thinking someone was playing a prank. But when I reached the door and pushed it open, the room was empty. That's when I felt a small hand grab my wrist. I could feel the fingers. They were cold but solid. I ran out and never went back to the third floor alone. James Tanner, a guest who stayed in room 211 in 1995, reported, "I woke up around 2:30 a.m., feeling like someone was sitting on the edge of the bed. I could feel the mattress depressed. When I turned on the light, there was nothing there, but the depression remained for about 30 seconds before slowly rising back to normal." Later that night, I distinctly heard a woman say, "He's coming back," right next to my ear. My wife heard it too. We checked out the next morning. Restaurant manager Michael Pollard described his experience in the wine cellar. "I was doing inventory in 2001 when every bottle on the north wall suddenly shifted forward about an inch, all at once, like they'd been pushed. There was no vibration, no earthquake, nothing that could explain it. As I was standing there trying to figure out what happened, I heard what sounded like a man clearing his throat right behind me. I turned, and for a split second, I saw someone. A tall man in old-fashioned clothes. Then he was gone. The air where he'd been was ice cold." The physical evidence. Unlike many haunting cases, the Lemp Mansion has yielded physical evidence that defies conventional explanation. In 1988, a security camera in the main dining room captured what appears to be a glass sliding across a table and falling to the floor. Analysis of the footage shows no strings, air currents, or table movement that could account for the glass's motion. During renovations in 1994, workers discovered a hidden room behind a false wall in the basement. Inside were several personal items belonging to Charles Lemp, including a pocket watch stopped at 3:15 a.m., the estimated time of his death, and a journal containing increasingly disturbed entries about shadows that speak and the man in the corner. The room had been sealed for at least 40 years. In 2011, a guest in room 211 reported finding a handwritten note in the drawer of the bedside table that read, "Get out before morning." Staff confirmed that no such note had been placed there, and handwriting analysis performed by our forensic team found similarities to samples of Elsa Lemp's writing, though conclusive identification was impossible. Perhaps most compelling is the Lemp Mansion whisper, an audio phenomenon that has been recorded by multiple independent investigators using different equipment over a span of 30 years. The whisper, always male, always between 2 and 3:30 a.m., consistently says what sounds like "still here" or "still here." Audio engineers have been unable to identify any environmental cause for this recurring sound. The ongoing investigation. The Lemp Mansion case remains open in our files, with periodic updates as new evidence emerges. My own involvement began in 1990 when I was assigned to review the historical documentation. Since then, I've personally visited the location 17 times, conducted 37 interviews, and witnessed several unexplained phenomena firsthand. During my most recent visit in January 2024, I experienced what I can only describe as an anomalous event. While examining the office where William Lemp Sr. took his life, my recording equipment registered a temperature drop from 72 degrees F to 54 degrees F in less than 30 seconds. Simultaneously, my digital recorder captured what sound analysis later identified as a whispered William that was not audible to me at the time. The current owners of the Lemp Mansion have been cooperative with our investigations, allowing access to the property and sharing their own extensive logs of unexplained occurrences. They report that paranormal activity seems to increase during anniversary dates of the suicides and during renovations or changes to the property. The theories. After more than 30 years investigating this case, I've developed several theories about the Lemp Mansion phenomena, though none fully explain all the evidence we've gathered. The geological theory proposes that the limestone cave system beneath the property creates unusual electromagnetic fields and infrasound waves that affect human perception and psychology. This could explain some of the sensory phenomena reported, but fails to account for the physical evidence and the specific patterns of activity. The psychological imprinting theory suggests that the traumatic events within the mansion, particularly the suicides, created a form of psychological residue that sensitive individuals can perceive. This theory is supported by the concentration of activity in rooms where deaths occurred, but doesn't explain object movement or the audio phenomena. The cultural memory theory proposes that the mansion's reputation has created a shared psychological experience among visitors who unconsciously perceive what they expect to perceive. However, this doesn't account for the experiences of individuals who had no prior knowledge of the mansion's history. Finally, there's the theory that many will dismiss outright, that consciousness can, under certain conditions, persist after death. That the Lemp family members who died in the mansion remain there in some form. While this contradicts our scientific understanding of consciousness as solely a product of brain function, it would explain the consistency of the phenomena, the apparent intelligence behind some events, and the emotional resonance of the experiences reported. Personal notes. In my 30 years with the Special Historical Cases Division, I've investigated hundreds of reportedly haunted locations across America. Most can be explained through conventional means, old pipes, settling foundations, environmental factors, or simply the power of suggestion. The Lemp Mansion is different. The sheer